Why is BTS Jungkook's house so closed? This is exactly what makes a scene. In the midst of South Korea's entertainment industry that is synonymous with open luxury, BTS's Jungkook house is moving in the opposite direction. Not transparent fences, not spacious courtyards that the media flaunt, nor flashy architecture that seems to scream about wealth. The house was quiet, closed. It's almost never obvious. And that's exactly where the excitement begins. Korean media began to smell the gaffe as early as the last few years, when the public realized one simple but suspicious thing. There were almost no visual leaks of Jungkook's private residences. In fact, as a global idol with the status of a world superstar, usually the details of celebrity homes become soft food for entertainment media. But in the case of Jungkook, the information circulating is always minimal, vague, and seems deliberate to be tightly closed. This silence provokes speculation. Why is Jungkook so protective? What is it really protecting? Some Korean entertainment journalists have said that Jungkook's level of privacy is far beyond the standards of other top idols. Even compared to the BTS members themselves, Jungkook's residence is said to be the most difficult to track down. No interior uploads, no celebrity guests leaking stories, no reality content showing the corners of his house. All seem to stop at one point, a tightly closed fence. But the more closed, the public's curiosity is getting bigger. Korean netizens began to debate this in various forums. Some suspect that the house is equipped with a high-level security system, while others speculate that Jungkook deliberately built his house with an anti-spotlight concept due to his past experience as an idol who lost his private space as a teenager. Jungkook debuted at a very young age, and since then his life has almost never truly been his own. Some entertainment industry observers attribute this closed attitude to the trauma of the invasion of privacy that is often experienced by popular idols. Jungkook has experienced stalking, privacy violations, and even threats from sayseeing. The house, in this context, is no longer just a dwelling place, but the last stronghold that must be desperately protected. But the speculation doesn't stop there. What made a scene was the emergence of allegations that Jungkook's house was not just a private residence, but a safe space for his family. Korean media highlighted the fact that Jungkook is known to be very close to his family, especially his mother. Some sources say that every major decision in Jungkook's life always involves family considerations. So a strong suspicion arose that the design of the closed house was not to hide luxury, but to protect the most important people in his life. Instead of showing off, Jungkook chose silence. In modern celebrity culture, silence is often perceived as suspicious. When other idols opened their doors to content, Jungkook closed all access. No property endorsement, no exclusive interviews about luxury residences, no clarification. It was this attitude that later set off a wave of theories, some rational, some wild. Some netizens even asked, does the house hold something that the public doesn't want to know? This question quickly spread, although without concrete evidence. But interestingly, any negative speculation is actually refuted by Jungkook's image, which has been known to be clean, disciplined, and almost without major scandals. Media analysts refer to this phenomenon as the Jungkook paradox. The less he shows, the more attention he gets. His house became a symbol of mystery, not because of its luxury, but because of its silence. On the other hand, there is a more emotional view. Some fans think Jungkook's private home reflects a side of him that is rarely seen in public. Jungkook is known to be cheerful on stage, full of energy, but also often expresses mental exhaustion from the pressures of fame. Home, for Jungkook, is probably the only place where he can be John Jungkook, without the BTS label, without cameras, without demands. Korean media then highlighted one small but significant detail. Jungkook almost never talks about his own home in interviews. When other idols share stories about home decor or atmosphere, Jungkook chooses another topic. This attitude is considered consistent and deliberate. The furor intensified when some foreign media began to write about the idol with the most mysterious house in South Korea. These labels cling and unwittingly actually magnify the highlight. Jungkook's house turned from a private place into a symbol of resistance to the show-off culture in the entertainment industry. Ironically, it was the closure that kept the public talking about it. Some Korean pop culture experts said Jungkook was indirectly sending a message. In the midst of a world that demands excessive transparency, he chooses limits. In the hope of always opening up, he chose silence. And the choice feels radical. Until now, there has been no official confirmation from Jungkook or his agency about the reason the house is so closed. No clarification, no refutation, no justification. There is only a consistent attitude: maintain privacy at any price. And maybe that's where the answer is. Jungkook's house became a scene not because of what was inside, but because of what was never shown. In a world hungry for access, closure is rare. And Jungkook, in his own way, reminded the public that not everything has to be open, not all luxuries need to be shown, and not all of Idol's life belongs to public consumption. The more closed the house was, the clearer the message implied. There is a limit that cannot be crossed, even by a fame as big as BTS. The silence surrounding Jungkook's house actually turned into an increasingly loud echo. Every time the media tries to get closer, all they find is a limit. There is no gap, no leaks. And for a Korean entertainment world accustomed to living off exposure, this situation feels unusual, even disturbing. That a senior Korean entertainment journalist once mentioned implicitly that Jungkook's closure was not a coincidence, but a life decision. The sentence sparked a long discussion. What kind of life decision makes a global idol willing to refrain from the spotlight that can actually benefit him commercially? The answers slowly lead to Jungkook's past, which is rarely talked about clearly. He grew up under the cameras from his teens, watching as his old home became known to the public. His personal life was discussed by strangers, and his family was dragged into mass curiosity. Since then, the concept of home for Jungkook is no longer just a building, but the meaning of protection. Korean media noted a change in Jungkook's increasingly mature and cautious attitude after BTS reached a global peak. If in the past he still spontaneously shared pieces of everyday life, now he is much more selective. The house becomes an area that he really locks from the outside world. Even so-called entertainment industry staff rarely know the details. What made the public even more excited was the contrast of this attitude with Jungkook's image on stage. He appears open, emotional, full of energy, often even showing his fragile side in music. But once off the stage, he drew a firm line. As if there are two completely separate worlds, and the house is a gate through which no one should pass without permission. Speculation is moving in a more philosophical direction. Some observers refer to Jungkook's house as a healing room. The pressure of being a global icon, the responsibility to the group, the expectations of fans, and the international media spotlight create a mental burden that is not light. In that context, a hermetically sealed house can be the only place to breathe.